I got more stories for you. So as I'm outside, before Kendrick comes out, I just sequestered myself because I was embarrassed. Christian McCaffrey comes walking down. He's going to talk after Kendrick. So it's one of these like little awkward moments where I'm just standing there next to Christian. It's two of us. We're never in a position like that. In the locker room, we wouldn't acknowledge each other. He's all-pro football player. I'm all-pro shit stirrer. I mean, we're not going to acknowledge each other. But in this moment, in the hall, yeah. So he just walks in and gives this deep sigh, like, man, I just played really hard. He goes, how you doing, Grant? And I was like, man, that was the best game I've ever covered. He was like, really? And he said it in such a way like, you enjoyed that? I was like, yeah, man. How are you feeling? He's like, man, I'm good. He's like, that's one of the most enjoyable games I've ever played. So it was nice to just have a little moment where he actually cared what I thought. You really thought that was a great game? Yeah, man. Everyone thought that was a great game. And then the other thing I said was, you know, not to like start a controversy or anything. I just wanted to say, I was like, hey, man, Mac Jones is a freaking warrior. And he was like, he got very serious. Like, yeah, he is. He like I had said the perfect word to describe Mac. So then Christian goes up to the podium. Go back and watch his interview. Someone asked him about Mac right off the bat, and he says, he's a leader. He's a warrior. So I helped Christian with that answer. I am officially ghostwriting Christian's press conferences, and I got to tell you, I'm honored to do so because he's the best of the best. One of the best players I've ever covered, and the fact that he said my name and hung out with me for 15 seconds means that I'm now a Christian McCaffrey fan. So let's review his performance. The numbers rushing weren't great. 22 carries, 57 yards, pretty much par for the course. 8 yards was long, 2.6 was the average. Is it partly him? Yeah. He would acknowledge that privately. Is it partly the blocking? Absolutely. Is it partly the fact that all the receivers are hurt and teams are really focusing on stopping him? Obviously. Despite all that, he still carried the ball 22 times. They wouldn't have won this game without having some balance. He kept getting up. He had some really tough, important runs. And as a receiver, he's so good. 9 targets, 8 catches, 82 yards, and a touchdown. That's a receiving line that any wide receiver would be proud of, and that's a running back. Kendrick Bourne led the team in receptions, targets, yards, but McCaffrey was the most important receiver. You can't run your passing offense through him, but using him the right way and the right time makes you pretty tough to beat. And what I want to say is, like, we've seen Brock with Christian. We saw Jimmy with Christian. We've seen those guys without Christian. There's a huge difference. There's a huge impact that he makes on quarterbacks. And it's always been as a receiver. Without Kittle, this team isn't going to run the ball well. And I don't know if Christian's ever going to be a dominant runner again, but as a receiver, he's the best. And if the Niners can commit to this, use him more on the line of scrimmage as a receiver in motion, their offense is going to take off. That's the identity of the offense. Christian as this like wide receiver / running back. He's the new Debo. So it's cool to see him having such a good year. I just wrote him off. I could have drafted him in fantasy, and I took Derrick Henry instead, he looks washed. Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code Cohn, C-O-H-N, and download the app now. Christian gets the ball 8 million times a game. Henry gets it 3 times. I feel stupid. I feel like, anyway, good for Christian. I'm not trying to jinx anything, but it's looking like he's going to have a hell of a year, even if he's averaging 3 yards a carry. Let's do some more super chats because there are like 50 of them. What a game by Bourne. Daz's most exciting Niners game in over a year. First overtime game since the Super Bowl, too, and they won it. Big Tim 3 says, I've seen a different aura with this team while Jones is playing. The team seems stiff with Purdy. It does seem stiff with Purdy, right? He's loosened him up. Mac, here's a question. If Mac were the Niners starting quarterback in 2023, would they have won the Super Bowl? If Mac was the Niners starting quarterback, would he have led a touchdown drive at the end of the fourth quarter, at the end of overtime, or would he have settled for field goals as well? I don't know. They might have won it. Brock's good, but the only reason he was even in the Super Bowl is because he threw a deep pass that hit a Lions defender in the face mask, and it bounced to Brandon Ayuk. That was the best throw Brock made in that game. Without face mask catch, they don't go to the Super Bowl. I'm just pointing that out. 7NP says there were actual Niners fans last week that tried to underplay Mac Jones' wins against NO in Arizona to damage control Purdy's horrible performance last week. History might be repeating itself. Isn't it interesting that Brock was Mr. Irrelevant and then he became Cinderella because Jimmy Garoppolo broke his foot? Now Brock has a foot injury and he's Mr. Irrelevant again because Mac Jones has taken his job or stepped in. Kind of interesting how that goes. It all comes back to the foot. Dylan Respects says, remember when you said your proudest moment was blocking Kyle Shanahan from drafting Mac Jones? Ooh, I did say that. Fuck. All right, in my defense, I'm not right all the time. And I've grown a lot since then. I've learned so much about football and life. And I just want to say that I apologize to Mac and Kyle and the whole faithful in the organization, because I hold myself to a higher standard as quality control. And I feel like I've done a good job recently, but that was, I got to own that one. Dr. David English, 5,000 ruples? Probably ruples. Says, I wasn't going to watch the game, but I'm glad I did. What a freaking shocker. My mouth was open and all most of the game. In Born We Trust, great game. Our 2 cent TV says backyard boogie oogie oogie back 10. Anthony Adams says Brock's setback was actually Kyle rewatching Max film versus Zona. LOL, Purdy is done. Brockopolo. Michael Alaniz says CMC Trent comments on Mac. He's won them over. Yeah, me too. Rogelio is a new member. Thank you. Andrew Powell. MVP Purdy. Don't take away from my copium. Shady Luke says I can smell the quarterback controversy. Julian Cortez says if Mac goes in a similar run to Purdy in 2022, how do you see the Niners approaching the quarterback position next year? How do you go back to Brock if it's Brock's because of the contract? That's disheartening. I mean, if Mac keeps winning, then he's the quarterback. If Mac wins a Super Bowl, then it's a good problem to have. But yeah, I don't know. We're still in October. Kane fan 57 says if Mac would have rushed for 0.5 more yards, I would have won $600 on Prize Picks. Should have picked the under, but that's my QB. If only he'd gotten that one quarterback sneak. Jesse Jr. says Mac had his pants down, ass out, gagging in exhaustion at the end. Gutsy performance. Shady Luke said that MF for Mac is accurate as fuck. Accurate QBs are nice. I'm telling you, I think other teams are looking at the Niners being like, oh, shit. Oh, God. They got a quarterback with an arm now. We got to defend the whole field when we face the Niners. Damn. And we don't know his tendencies in this offense. Damn. All of a sudden, Tampa's like, man, can we please face Brock next week? Nope. Bananas out for Mac tonight. He said he only ate 3. Who said he ate 11? Crispy One says, will Mac Jones take Purdy's job if he's winning? Yes. If I have anything to say about it. Ruben Bocanegra says, I'm drunk. LOL. Big EST talk away. LOL. Bang, bang. Andrew Powell is scurrying back to Lombardi for more pro-Purdy rhetoric. CM Top Fly says, and the QB1 is drum rolls, Mac Jones. Who? KS Life says, can we get a Fernando, Grant? Fernando. Kyle McAndrew says, we need a Fernando or Pinheiro. Those kicking balls are ridiculous, man. They're like made out of helium. They gotta get rid of those. Abyss 007 says, trade Brock Purdy. Don't fall in love with the stories. MJ is better. End of discussion. Niners need pass rush ASAP. They do need pass rush ASAP. Mike Henry says D-line and secondary need improvement trades. All right, let's talk about trades. We can talk about trades. I will do big picture later. Hold on. I changed my mind on that. T. Young says, the Shanny Man. Johnny C says, yeah, Stafford's better, but Mac outplayed Stafford tonight. Got the win with considerably less. True. T. Young says, give Kyle a ring for that win. Kendrick Bourne, Mustang. Devin Rose says, Bourne took a shot at you during the post game. I'll take it. Shout out to Kendrick. Bourne made it up this game. T. Young says, my guy Grant is dripping in sweat tonight. Fernando. Barry Baller member for 49 months. Okay, I'll come back to those.